You can't make this up. No, okay, so you guys may not know this, all right, because this story flew under my radar, but it involves 2 U.S. astronauts on the ISS, Boeing, the Boeing CEO, and how the fact that those 2 astronauts are stuck in space. Oh, no, I kid you not. Here, hold on. Wait a minute. U.S. astronauts stuck in space. What happened? Why are they stuck in space? Who let it happen? So two NASA astronauts are stranded aboard the ISS, the International Space Station, as their spacecraft, a Boeing Starliner. I'm sorry, I didn't pronounce that right. Their spacecraft, a Boeing Starliner. Oh, I have a hard time announcing the word. Boeing Starliner. That's your first problem right there. It's a Boeing. Continues to experience technical difficulties. Oh, my goodness. So, hey, listen. What are these astronauts? Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams. Hey, I think you people are going to be up there for a while. Now, you don't have to take any advice from me, but you might have to restart civilization in outer space. Because I don't think you're coming back to Earth anytime soon, knowing Boeing's track records. The 2 scientists who traveled to the station on June 6th were originally meant to stay for only 1 week. Oh, no. Oh, God. Please don't let anything happen to these scientists. During a press conference on Tuesday, NASA and Boeing announced that the 2 Americans, Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore, will not be coming back to Earth before June 26 as experts are struggling to fix the spacecraft. Oh, God. Oh. Mastermind Hour. I love me some dark humor, but man, seriously, that could happen. Pop off the pod bay door, Hal. Let's see. Barnes Homestead says, real life lost in space. Everyone, please. Please. And Dwayne Vogel. Why is my audience so brutal? Those astronauts better not squeal on Boeing. Listen, people. I'm all for jokes, but I know I didn't teach you to be this evil, okay? I didn't teach you to be this evil. The Boeing CST-100 Starliner initially registered several several mechanical issues during its maiden manned launch on June 6th en route to the station. The crew reported problems with 5 thrusters and 4 helium leaks, and another leak was soon revealed thereafter. Prior to the flight, the company also stated the spacecraft already had small helium leak. Well, why? But insisted it was not critical safety of flight issue and could be managed. What? And hold on, Snork Y2K. SpaceX currently can't send rescue for weeks. That is why. NASA's Commercial Crew Program Manager, Steve Snitch, explained on Tuesday that the reason for the holdup was the agency's desire to give our teams a little bit more time to look at the data, do some analysis, and make sure we're really ready to come home. Stitch also insisted that NASA doesn't currently foresee a scenario in which the 2 astronauts would not be able to come home on the Starliner. Listen, folks, knowing Boeing and how they keep on royally screwing up, you got to get ready for that scenario, okay? The return trip is currently scheduled for June 26. So that's 5 days from now, when the crew will attempt to land in the White Sands area of New Mexico. I didn't know there was a New Mexico. If that proves impossible, then the next prime opportunity would be a week later, July 2nd. So let's do the math. Okay, we got the 22nd. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 more days. 11 more days. How are they eating up there? How are they surviving up there? Listen, I don't want to cause an international incident, but I think we should call up the Russians or the Chinese to save our people, just in case it starts to get a little bit out of pocket here. Hell, get the European Space Agency. Because right now, anything made by Boeing should be viewed as a big red flag. Despite the extended delay, NASA's Dana Weigel, who manages the agency's ISS program, said the crew is feeling positive. I hope so. Boeing's vice president and program manager for the commercial crew program, Mark Nappy, has also said the crew was taking advantage of the extra time and saw a situation as an opportunity to do more work. Hey, folks, let's have democracy in the chat. Type 1 for Kit. They're going to be A-OK. The space shuttle will land, and it's all going to be good because Boeing is a responsible business. Type 2. All right, folks. We got worst case scenario situation here happening. We're going to try and keep a positive outlook, but be prepared for prognosis negative. I wonder how many 2s we'll get in the chat. I wonder. But hold on. Don't take my word, folks. Let's listen to the good people at CNN.
If you've been watching lately, you know that Boeing has problems that go beyond anything on this planet, quite literally. While its CEO was answering tough questions on Capitol Hill yesterday, its engineers were grappling with issues dealing with their Starliner spacecraft. Since they launched on June 5th in its first crewed test flight, astronauts have navigated several issues, including malfunctioning thrusters and helium leaks, and it's turned their week-long mission into a 3-week stay on the International Space Station. Retired NASA astronaut Leroy Chow joins us now. Leroy, help us understand these problems and how much of a concern this is.
Why is it that I'm getting flashbacks of the Titan sub? You know, remember that? Remember the Titan sub? And what happened to it because you had some billionaire guy build a shitty, crappy design and it imploded, killing 5 people? I really want these astronauts to return home safely, but my goodness, Boeing. This is the same Boeing that's part of the military-industrial complex that's designing our airplanes, our fighter jets. Do they even care about their job anymore?
Well, you're right. As you pointed out, Boeing has had a lot of problems, not only on the commercial airplane side, but also on the space side. Starliner way behind the original schedule, a lot of development problems. Finally got off the ground. Butch and Sonny are aboard the station, but not before encountering several minor difficulties, helium leaks, thruster failures. These are kind of medium to light problems because it doesn't really threaten the mission at this point. It's just a little bit concerning that we're having these, numerous small glitches. But the bottom line is the helium leaks are about, pretty small. NASA says they can.
Bad Cookie says, Kit, this is privatization at its best. This is what you get when you let the free market capitalism control everything. Yeah. Hey, Pete Buttigieg, last I checked, weren't you in charge of transportation? That's planes, trains, and automobiles, the roads and bridges and railways. What kind of accountability is happening to Boeing?
Tolerate about 100 times what's currently leaking. Had 5 thrusters fail on the way to the station. 4 of them have been reactivated. 1 remains disabled. Shouldn't keep them from coming home safely. NASA and Boeing just being extra conservative, don't want to be complacent, want to go through everything. And so just being a little bit extra cautious, that's why the mission is being extended.
So yeah, but here's the thing. They weren't supposed to stay up there for that long. They were supposed to stay there for 1 whole week.
As it is, the ISS is kind of a crammed space, right? So I'm wondering what kind of contingencies are made for this kind of situation where you have astronauts essentially stuck for 2 more weeks than originally planned.
Right. So NASA, of course, what we do at NASA is we make contingency plans. We plan for redundancies, backups. And so you can bet that the folks at NASA have been looking at, well, in the very worst case that we decide that Starliner cannot come back with Butch and Sonny, what can we do? Well, of course, Butch and Sonny can safe haven at the ISS for, basically a number of months at least.
Are you sure about that? Look, I don't want to hear about them starving up there, you jagoff.
And so that would be time to get a replacement spacecraft up, probably a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft. I think NASA would have to rejumble the traffic model, but certainly a SpaceX Dragon could be brought up to bring Butch and Sonny home. So in the very worst case, that would be what would happen. But as I said, the problems the Starliner is experiencing are relatively minor. So I fully expect that on the 26th, per the current plan, Butch and Sonny will make it back safely in the Starliner.
Yeah, we're hoping for that. Leroy,
Well, let's hope for the best, okay? Let's hope and pray for the best. But look, I brought this up on yesterday's show too, as well. Here's the Boeing CEO, grilled before the Senate. This is the guy right here who's in charge of everything, who gets paid a ridiculous salary. So when we get in an airplane that's designed by Boeing, listen, you best start praying or, I don't know, meditating or self-reflecting and hoping that you come from point A to point B in one piece.
Calhoun was supposed to address some of those concerns and his company's overall safety record in a hearing on Capitol Hill yesterday. Instead, Calhoun faced intense questioning after saying he was proud of Boeing's safety culture.
For the American people, they're in danger. For your workers, they're in peril. For your whistleblowers, they literally fear for their lives. But you're getting...
Whoa. Well, he's not wrong. You're not wrong there, Mr. Senator. Definitely, yes. Those whistleblowers should be afraid. They should fear for their lives because Boeing, let's say you didn't do it, it doesn't make you look good, okay? No matter what. It's all suspicious. And when all your whistleblowers are, dying or dead, one has to wonder, what are you really hiding?
compensated like never before. Don't you think maybe your priorities are misplaced here? I mean, don't you think maybe it's time to get back to focusing on making quality planes and paying your workers well and taking care of the little guys who got you to where you are? That's not a rhetorical question.
Senator, I don't recognize any of the Boeing you described.
That was Missouri Republican Senator.
He doesn't recognize that Boeing. You want to know why? Because he's in his ivory tower. Hey, Mr. CEO, are you willing to get in a Boeing airplane?
Josh Hawley, who joins me now. Senator, did you get any satisfying answers from Boeing yesterday?
No, not at all, Jake. It was a whole bunch of why he's not responsible. You had Calhoun sitting there. He's making $33 million a year. That is a 45% increase over last year. And it was all about how he wasn't responsible. He's doing everything he can. He'll do better. His planes are literally falling out of the sky in pieces. He's paying his workers, in many cases, next to nothing. They haven't had a wage increase in 16 years. And yet he has no...
16 years. And the planes are falling out of the sky. Look, I want to go back to Japan someday. I really do. It's on my to-do list to enjoy Japan and see the culture again. I love it. And hell, I want all of you to go around the world and travel and live life as you should. But I think we could all universally agree, all of us can agree, we don't want to be in an airplane that's going to fall apart, okay? I've only been in an airplane once where I felt unsafe, and that's when I was getting ready to skydive, okay? And we were in this airplane, and it was shaking, and it was rocking. And I'm thinking, like, shoot, man, I'm safer jumping out of this plane right now without no parachute. Okay? Because that thing was a shaking. It was a rumbling. And as soon as we got out, I was happy. I was happy we were out of the plane than in the plane. And now, I guess all these commercial airlines, for at one point in time, when flying an airplane was the safest way to travel, it was deemed as high luxury and you were treated well. Now it's nothing but shite. And no one feels safe in it. And if the doors are being popped off, the engines are blowing up, or either that, all the electronics fail, and the plane's nosedive, is it a sign that something's wrong with Boeing? We got not one, but two astronauts at the ISS stuck up there because the Boeing Starliner doesn't work. And they said, these are just small glitches. When the Starliner re-enters the Earth's atmosphere and goes kaboom, was that a small glitch?
Answers and wants to shift the blame. It's totally unacceptable.
So Calhoun insisted that the company is committed to safety. He said he listens to employees. What's your response to that?
Well, he said that he hasn't even sat down with the whistleblowers, Jake. I mean, how about that? We've had new...
reason why I didn't sit down with the whistleblowers is because the whistleblowers are 6 feet under. Okay, that was rude. That was mean. Audience, you're not learning this bad behavior from me.
numerous whistleblowers come to the Senate. They've testified under oath that they have been raising safety and quality concerns for years. These are engineers now. They testify that they've been reassigned, they've been ignored, they've been threatened, and sometimes bullied physically. And this guy admits under oath yesterday, the CEO, he hasn't even met with them. I mean, come on. This is a far.
Well, he hasn't met with them because they're dead. Never mind. Listen, some of you Boeing whistleblowers right now, be anonymous or either that. You're safer in Russia, possibly. Hell, man, listen. Just whatever you do, don't tell them your name, okay? Because it's not good. Boeing CEO didn't. Mr. Senator, you know what the real answer is. The reason why they didn't meet with those whistleblowers is because I count 6 shots.
And he knows it. He's just there to collect a paycheck.
So in yesterday's testimony on the subject of that paycheck, you got him to acknowledge his $32.8 million salary. Now, as a conservative, I don't expect you would support legislation that would specifically impact how much a CEO makes. But what do you think is the role of the government when it comes to how much a CEO makes, how much its employees make, deprived any sort of raise in several years, as you noted? Like, what is the role of government in that?
Well, let me give you one example. Senator Elizabeth Warren and I authored a bill together on executive clawbacks for companies who take these big loans from banks and then fail and make off with the profits. And what we said to that bill is, listen, you come in and you take government handouts, you take bank bailouts, and then your bank goes under. You ought to give back all of your executive compensation from the last 5 years. I think we need to send a message to corporate America that it's not right that guys like Calhoun are making $33 million when the 32,000 machinists, Jake, who work for him in the Pacific Northwest haven't gotten a significant pay raise in 16 years.
You know, it's interesting because there's this next generation of Republican leaders like you and Senator Vance from Ohio and Senator Rubio from Florida who sound different when you talk about CEOs than maybe your dad's or granddad's Republican Party. Is that a fair observation?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I hope that's right. I mean, I think this is something that, frankly, both parties have gotten wrong in the last 30, 40 years. And what I mean by that is we've watched jobs go overseas. We've watched blue-collar workers lose their jobs, lose their pay, lose the ability to support a family. Jake, we can't have an economy where, yeah, you got a guy who can make $33 million a year who's not even an engineer. Calhoun's not even an engineer, while the folks who actually are supporting this company on their backs are making next to nothing. I mean, that's just not right. And you cannot build and sustain a great nation on that kind of an economy. We need to put working people first.
Given the complexities of the industry and
now, seeing that this is a Republican senator, do you think he's being really honest, talking about helping out the workers and holding that CEO accountable? Type 1 for yes, Kit. There is such thing as a good politician and a good senator. Shame on you, you awful, awful man. Type 2, man, he's just virtue signaling. I mean, yes, Congress has to act, and yes, in theory, the Senate has to do its job. But do you think there's really going to be any accountability? Type 2, man, it is all bull. It's all bull. I wonder how many 2s we're getting in the chat. I wonder.
the landscape of production globally, what realistically can the U.S. Senate do to make it so Boeing and other plane manufacturers are not only reliable, but transparent?
Well, I tell you one thing that I've talked about with Calhoun, with the CEO, is this. Boeing used to, Jake, manufacture almost all of their planes themselves in-house. Now they have over 600 separate suppliers, probably hundreds of more subcontractors worldwide, including many, many in China. I think that we've got to make clear to these guys, you need to bring that production back home. If that means tariffs on the parts that are made overseas, we should do that. If that means that we have tax incentives to make sure they actually make things in this country and pay their workers well, we should do that. But I think
well, gee, so many people have been asking that for years, Mr. Senator. Hey, let's have another democracy in the chat. You think Boeing's ever going to be held accountable? Type 3 for yes, Kit. They are. Okay, the system does work. You really are an awful man. A type 4, man, Boeing ain't going to be held accountable. Boeing's just going to walk away. They're going to be fine. Just, hey, look what happened to the railroad companies. Were they ever held accountable? No. I wonder how many 4s will get in the chat. And people say I rig my elections. I don't. I just give you a better option.
message
Why? Because I'm a double hater. Double hater for life.
to corporate America needs to be this era of offshoring and outsourcing. Look where it leads. It ends with planes falling out of the sky. That's where it ends. It ends with workers in this country not able to make ends meet. We've got to change all of the above.
So one whistleblower who spoke to the committee alleges that Boeing has been using subpar parts and actually lied to the FAA about it. Do you expect that person to testify publicly at some point? When might we expect that? What might we hear?
I hope so, Jake. I hope soon. And listen, if that testimony comes to be, it will be of a piece with testimony, public testimony we've already heard from engineers who say that the 787, the 777, and other Boeing components are not necessarily safe. Listen, we had a top quality engineer testify to us in April that he'd be very reluctant to get on a Boeing airplane right now because so many corners have been cut. And here's the thing. The deal with the guy like Calhoun, the CEO, is this. He's getting paid to do exactly what he is doing, which is to cut corners, to squeeze profits everywhere he can, to get his margins. And if that means that the planes are unsafe, hey, at least he's getting paid, right? That's what needs to change at Boeing. They don't have a culture problem with their employees. They've got a culture problem in the C-suite.
And whether or not they fix it is up in the air because knowing Congress, knowing our politicians, after all, Representative Massey said very clearly when he was speaking to Tucker Carlson, all of our politicians have APAC babysitters. And not only that, all of our politicians probably have, Wall Street babysitters, big oil babysitters, military industrial complex babysitters. And guess who's part of the military industrial complex? Boeing. You think Boeing, which has probably bought off a lot of Democratic and Republican politicians, are just going to let themselves get regulated and be held accountable? You really think that they're just going to let this happen? No. Oh, no. I'm sorry, my lovelies, my mornings, my sunshines. Because we live in a corrupt system, Boeing will get a slap on the wrist. But literally, time is running out. And you got 2 astronauts up there. Now, let's say for right now, everything's fine. But if there's still more technical errors and small glitches, all those technical errors and small glitches can add up to one big disaster. Flying, the safest way to travel? That statement was true, but not anymore.